Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Liam's Lively Jukebox with me, your boy next door, your hilarious confidant, whatever you want to call me, Liam. Now, in this week's episode, I hope you've enjoyed episodes 1, 2, and 3 so far, which were actually pre recorded several months ago, and I decided to do it in order, in sequence. Now, today I am doing another episode, episode 4, which is a very special episode. It's a very heartfelt episode, and hopefully, I'll give you some inspiration and positivity for the times that we are in. Now, and I'm referring to the pandemic, which is the coronavirus pandemic, which has changed the world in many different ways. For a lot of people negatively, a lot of people positively. There's a lot and for a lot of things, there have been a lot of problems. And you know what? We've tried and we're trying to get through it step by step. Now, this year, for the last almost 14 months already, since the initial lockdown here in Spain, where I live, there have been many significant changes, like obviously lockdown, changing modes of teaching, changing a lot of different things. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how everything has been like from my perspective for the last year and what a lot of good things have happened over this last year, along with some of the sad things that have happened along the way. And I'm going to rewind back to the end of February of 2020, where it was literally where coronavirus was this little thing. We didn't think at the time that it was going to be as serious as it was. I didn't even think it was going to be serious as it was. And was in my final. I was in holiday with my lovely partner in Malta, exploring the gorgeous island. It was a gorgeous island. We went for carnival, got cheap flights the year earlier because Santiago airport announced flights to Malta, and I thought, right, we'll see how much they are. We both agreed, cheap as chips. Went to a party the night before, dressed in pajamas and dressing gown because it was carnival. Thought we'd have a laugh. That was fun. Good thing we packed beforehand. Had a good holiday. Now, at the time, COVID was, you would have heard small reports about it, like sort of going through the likes of from China and it's making its way across. Now, in Malta at the time, there was nothing significant going on. It was still running, everything was running as normal. There was no masks, no such thing as social distancing, nothing. And when we got back, then things were starting to take place. Italy, which is practically next door neighbour to Spain, was suffering from a severe wave of coronavirus, and they were preparing for what was called their state of alarm or a lockdown, as we also know it as. And I was thinking, oh my God, what exactly is this virus? Which is a type of flu virus, but it's a severe flu, which is also killing a lot of people. Which I was like, we were both getting scared. Like, I would be worried, as was my partner, like, we're worried for our families, worried for our friends. Back in Ireland, here, we're all thinking, what is about to come here? Then fast forward to the 10th of March, Tuesday, sorry, the 11th of March. We were told when I went into work, we were brought into a meeting. We were brought into a meeting and during our break, literally told by our boss that we are going to have to prepare very quickly for what is going to happen, because being told that this is now becoming more rampant and it's actually becoming more prominent in Spain, there's a possibility we may have to close the doors, as to say, temporarily, in order for things to get under control. What are we going to do? We then started thinking, then ideas were for videos to be made on YouTube, which is what I'm doing here. And there was no such, at the time, Zoom wasn't even considered. That was one thing, because I didn't even know what Zoom was until afterwards, which I'll explain later. Um, and trying to think of ways to make sure we are keeping on top of our students until this passes. Like I thought, right, okay, might only be a 2 weeks, and then it'll stop. Not quite. Then 2 days later, we were like thinking, right, we need to prepare ourselves. We don't know if this is. We weren't sure 100% if it was going to close or not. Then on Friday, the 13th of March, the announcement was made by the Prime Minister of Spain that there was going to be a state of alarm. A state of alarm is when everything literally had to shut down. Everything was closing down. We had to shut everything down. Everything, a new process was about to begin. I was scared. A lot, as were a lot of people. My partner was scared. I was scared. We were all scared. And I think people across the globe were scared. They didn't know what the hell was about to come. What was about to come. Anyone watching this video, I do apologise if I do say a few bad words. I don't mean to, or a bit of gaffes, a few gaffes along the way. When that happened, then I think it was the thought of uncertainty, the feeling of uncertainty, and it's like thinking, what is going to happen next? So the first move was that we had started creating lessons on YouTube. We developed a YouTube channel for the school that I work in, and we created YouTube videos. Now, most of these videos I did on this. I did it on my phone, very basic, no BS really. There was just really, it was very much to the point and so on. That went on for the first few weeks. Okay, so the first few weeks. In some classes I did on Skype, with my older learners, just so I get in contact with them and sort of see how we're doing and how things are going, doing exam practice and so on. That then the next big worry was like for my partner and I was just to make sure, have we got everything in the house? Have we got what we need? Because we don't want to go out too much outside the door. The only thing that we were trying to think to ourselves were, we only go out when it's to take the dog who needs to go to we have having a dog who needs to go to the toilet and so on. I was feeling very vulnerable because I didn't know what was going to happen to my job, and my partner, who is a marvel of inspiration, who turns around and says to me, look, if the worst comes to the worst, we will sort it out one way or another. One way we'll get sorted. And my partner, throughout the whole first round of this lockdown, was a massive support, as has been right up until for the last 5.5 years that we've been together, has been a great support. Then we got to Easter, which was a few weeks later. So Friday the 13th, so the doors closed, teaching online, YouTube videos, hard work. Hated uploading because it took ages and ages to upload. And then next thing, getting told that bad enough obviously because of the way things were, state of alarm pay got reduced slightly. Not what we want to hear, but at least it was still enough to live on. It was still enough to live on. But hopefully now going forward, now a year later, hopefully that will go back up as soon as possible. At least I hope so. Then the idea was to start lessons on Zoom. Now, this was interesting because I had no concept of Zoom. I didn't know how Zoom worked. But luckily, I self-taught myself how to use like the little buttons, the different areas of Zoom, and it came with practice. I actually enjoyed term 3, which when we got into term 3 after Easter, doors were still closed. We weren't going back to work. We weren't going back to work face to face. We were still in quarantine because the state of alarm here in Spain was continuous. It went on. And I'll explain more about that in a moment when it started the de-escalation process. With that, I started doing Zoom and I started thinking, this is going to be strange teaching from home. I loved it. I love teaching from home because it's actually quite nice. Where I am sitting in this video literally became, which is our dining room table, literally became an office slash classroom. It literally was my classroom slash office. Now, I had to be resourceful. I had to think ahead. What am I going to do next? What activities I'm going to do next? With my younger learners, what I had to do was one YouTube video a week and one Zoom lesson a week. Now, a colleague of mine and I had the same book, so she did the YouTube video for her class, and I took her class for Zoom, which now are my class this year. They're now with me this year on a permanent basis, but I'll explain that later. Um, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun teaching the little ones online, and they really got into it. What I did was I had one thing, and I would say to any teacher who's in this situation, you learn to adapt. You have to learn to adapt. This is now going to be the new frontier of education. Teaching classes online, teaching classes physically and online in a hybrid setting. That is something I've had to deal with this year, and as well as earlier on last year as well. And it was a good learning experience, but there is a big but there. I would have to be honest that by the time June came, I was ready for the summer. I was ready for the summer, and I was so tired. Oh my god! And I got a slap on the wrist. So I was literally living, eating, breathing work. It wasn't healthy. I was literally going around the clock, trying to make sure everything was done, and even things that were already done, I was going over them again. It wasn't to the point that it was really very unhealthy. I will admit that. And I've learned this year, in this academic year, to learn to know when to take a step back and say, look, I need time out. You know when you need to call a time out? I need a day or two just to recharge my batteries. And I did. Now, in May of 2020, there was a lot of positive. There was a very, very positive thing happened. Now, one big thing that happened in this pandemic, I applied to become an examiner for Trinity College London. Now, Trinity College London is, I, for many years, have taught their exams, both in ISC and in Graded Examination Spoken English, or GESE. And I really enjoy teaching them. I take a very much I try to take a more creative approach to the exams to just make sure that my learners do well in a natural way rather than tell the examiner what they want to hear. And I've told my learners who are studying for their exams in 5 weeks' time, don't tell me what I want to hear. Be natural about it. Ask questions, engage a little bit more, that sort of thing. One thing that is easy to say is that I remember doing the interview, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous. But I remember family members at home and my partner was saying, "You'll absolutely smash it. You'll be fine because you've got that experience. You have that perspective. You know the exams inside out." And also, the thought of I remember doing the I even remember doing the application, and I actually had to get my lovely partner just to read over what I've written because I want to make sure that it's not necessarily what I was insecure in what I was writing. Sometimes my biggest problem is I'm writing as if I'm talking. I'm a better speaker than I am a writer. So that's essentially what it is. So let's say, I can blag my way out of a paper bag most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. I remember a few weeks later getting an email saying you have got through. I was literally jumping around my living room, jumping on the sofas, jumping on the chairs, going like, yes, I'm going to be an examiner. I'm going to be an examiner. And then next thing being told, you got a training session, you got a training course to do, which was exciting because I was waiting to find out on the dates of when the training courses were going to be. And I picked, obviously, because the summer there was more time to do things, more time to enjoy this, more time to properly do it. I didn't want to do it while I was working at the same time. So what I did was I did the course at the end of July. So because originally before COVID, I would have been doing my summer school in Pilgrims, but obviously that didn't happen. And I obviously before the plug was pulled on me, I said, right, I think given the circumstances, I'm out because I need to get, or you might be better getting someone who is more local to do it. Whereas I'm in another country, it's not going to be easy. And then I would have had to quarantine when I arrived. And the thing is, when I did the course, it was fantastic. It was really, really good. And I learned so much. And I think I got to learn more about the exams and how they worked and how they developed, and how to express how students express themselves in exams, how examiners express themselves during the exams. And this year, I think I'm taking what I've learned and trying to apply it in my preparation for my own students. And let's just say, I'm a tough cookie when it comes to preparation. But as there's a very good expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So hope I have to learn. I've learned as well to hope for the best, from my students, and that they do really well. And with that, I got learning more about teaching online. It was real back to where I was referring back to when teaching online. It was so good to also see young learners that I have who are 3, 4, 5 years old actually engaging with me on a screen. I obviously, with younger learners, I had to cut my lessons a lot shorter so that it was compact, so they were able to adapt and have much more fun. Some of my classes in my timetable, I had to move around, obviously to suit the parents, to suit the students, and I was able to work with that. And the brilliant thing is, the parents were very supportive. I was in contact with them regularly. That has been paramount to the success of where I am now. And I think because I do talk to the students regularly, I talk to the students regularly, speak to them, I speak to the parents regularly, and so on. And then throughout the summer, I was preparing for other things. And also, I started getting online classes. Like, partner and I have been working on just like private classes, like just to engage in private classes with under the name Starlight. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Starlight is based on the musical Starlight Express. That's where I got the name because it was the first West End musical I ever saw, and we believe on the belief that every student we have is a star. We believe every student can be a star, whether you are 550 or 500. You can be a star in your own way. And friends of mine, one ex student said, "Can you teach my children?" And I said, "Is it possible if you got an hour a week for each of them?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "We can work with that." Arranged it, and then from September, it has been slowly growing. We have, as I say, we now have a portfolio of quite a good few students already teaching at home. So making lemonade, making lemonade out of some big lemons. So we're doing really well in that regard. And because of the fact of the matter is, I enjoy teaching, and so my partner, we both enjoy teaching. Both enjoy engaging with the students, saying hi to the students as well. And that's been going on since the summer. And in the summer as well, like doing things around the house, keeping contact with families, both families as well, like making sure that they're all right, they're keeping safe, they're keeping happy, healthy, and so on. Now, I mentioned earlier about the de-escalation process. Now, in May, it was announced that in Spain that they were going to start de-escalating because cases had dropped significantly. Now, there was two ways we were both thinking about this. This is going to be nerve-wracking and scary. Nerve-wracking and scary, but exciting at the same time because now we can start to move about a bit more freely. We can move more freely around where we here in Lugo, which is a small city. Um, Never for about 2.5 months, never really left the house very much except for when walking the dog. And then obviously there was curfews, which initially I did not realize. I did not realize at the beginning that the curfew, I think, was at 11:30 at night until 6 a.m. Currently, it's now 11 p.m. to 6 p.m. and I know that's for your safety. Then the actual pandemic, at the first lockdown, it was so strange seeing a city like Lugo full of life, which it is sort of now is today, just completely. It was like something out of The Walking Dead. That's what it looked like. I felt like zombies were going to fly out or something was going to come out at me. It was that scary. But gradually everything opened. We were able to go out, obviously with masks on, with some social distancing. We were able to socialize much better, which in the back words of bag of chips was much better than what we were subjected to. But also as well, that during the other positive was I got to get creative with other projects. One thing is like this, for example, that I'm doing these videos. Liam's Lively Jukebox was came out with the idea of saying like, obviously, if other YouTube influencers can do this, why can't I? And I decided to give it a go. That's why I'm doing this. Is season one, obviously. Season one is what we call a pilot season. So it's building upon from that. So it's building upon from that. I wouldn't class myself as a YouTuber or an influencer, but I would like hopefully inspire people, hopefully inspire people young and old. And if you enjoy the videos, do subscribe, do like, send comments, tell your friends, tell your grannies, tell your grandas, tell your aunts and uncles, tell your friends to watch them. They might pick up something. If I teach you something or make you smile, happy days. Now back to where I was earlier. Summer passed, very uneventful, very quiet summer, enjoying the lovely weather, as here in Galicia it is traditionally quite hot during the summer, which was lovely. It was lovely wearing t-shirt and shorts. At the moment, in the start of May, it's like traditional springtime weather, a bit cold, but sometimes a bit hot. But at least I can wear a t-shirt and trousers, and a light jacket. I don't have to wear a thick coat. Then the time came to return to work. Now, this was the scary part for me. This is what made me very nervous because I'm like thinking, what are going to be our protocols as they were before when we go back to work? And went back to work, and I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie about this. I was nervous with the fact that what lies ahead. Now, obviously, adjustments have been made. New tables, desks, chairs, classroom designs were changed in order to accommodate the students. Most students, most students that we have now are either one desk and one chair, or if it's an extra long desk, one student at each end. So that's what makes, if there's like a row of 3 or 4 seats, there's like an X in the middle to sort of maintain social distancing. And then having to wash your hands every time you go into the classroom. Temperatures are being checked, standard. And then wearing masks. Masks was compulsory. I have to give, like, even my 4-year-olds that I teach currently all wear masks in class. They don't have to, but they do. They all wear them. Even if they're thinking to themselves, if teacher has to wear them, we have to wear them too. So they sort of learn through that, and they're very, very good. And the parents are very receptive to that as well, and they've been very, very supportive of that fact. Returning to work was quite interesting. For the first time, I was teaching hybrid. I was teaching a normal class physically and teaching maybe someone. Now, if I had 1 or 2 students, I would have my phone on a stand, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and then speak to them on that. And it was easy enough to do. It was easy enough to do as long as they were able to. The way I say it is, as long as they're able to see the board, if they're able to see the board and what I'm doing and what we're doing in the class, makes things so much easier. And that is very, very important. It's very important that you keep on top of the students you have in the classroom, but the students you have online. The students you have online, make sure that I always try and say cameras on, unless they're on a laptop which doesn't have a camera. Probably. For the majority, they do, but some of them don't. For my smaller classes, doing the hybrid was not necessary unless maybe a parent specified that rather have my child at home. Understandable. Completely understandable. Which was very true. Now, of course, during the process of this year, there have been ups and downs. There have been ups and downs. I'm not gonna lie. It has been stressful. It hasn't been easy, but it has. I think as the years gone on, it's got slowly easier to handle. And then, of course, there have been moments where cases have gone up and down, or gone up to the point where I think, oh, we're going to be back in this situation again. Luckily, that has not happened, but there was one I thought after Christmas when cases were very high. I thought we're going to be back at home for at least for 3 or 4 weeks, to get back to until things are much more stable. And then, of course, with all the changes involved, I have to change my tactics, as a teacher, like how do I make sure that everything improves? So I invested in the idea of Google Classroom, something which I have used, put it to the idea of my boss, didn't want to follow through on it, but I went through with it with my students anyway. They were all happy enough with it because they're using it in school. So, the parents were happy enough. So if parents are happy, if my students' parents are happy, and I'm happy with it, I went ahead with it. It was literally to make sure that if in the event of a quarantine or a lockdown situation, I can give them their work on a platform. They can submit their work, and I can correct their work digitally and say, like, look, you're doing really well here, but make sure you answer X, Y, and Z. Okay, so that's why you need to make sure you follow through on those certain parts. And that was certain changes that were made. I think this year, I know for a fact that I have worked very hard. I know I've worked hard on my own self. I'm very modest most of the time, but this is something I will say. And my partner has also been very inspired by how hard I do work, and has said to me, you care about those students so much. And this is what, let me tell you something, those students matter. I will make sure that they get where they need to be one way or another. Is there such thing as a perfect teacher? Absolutely not. But with all these challenges, I have to learn to adapt and adapt quickly. Where it's sometimes, some days it's been like this, some days it's like that. It's got getting there, and I think I'm in a far better place with it all now than I was maybe a year ago. But that is the way it is. And of course, then when you can hear about students who come back and then they test positive, it's like, oh my God, which I had a couple of close shaves where I was told, oh, so and so is positive, you may need to go and you might be called for a test. I had no problem because I know I had no symptoms. I didn't have fever, I didn't have headaches, I didn't have cough. And obviously, if COVID-19, with myself being asthmatic, it's very likely that I would have very bad symptoms. I would not be feeling very well right now. But luckily, I've been keeping I've been playing more, same as my partner, we're both been very, very cautious, playing to the air of caution in this situation. Then again comes to Christmas. It's sad in the sense that with Christmas, it's like when year before our partner and I decided we decided to stay. We just wanted to have our own Christmas and have this stress free Christmas, which it was stress free, and then we got to go on holiday to Benidorm, which was an amazing week. And but not having the choice was harder. It was harder not having the choice not go home. I With that then came a bit of sadness, a bit of sad news in the beginning of 2021, which has come to the very sad point in my video, unfortunately, which I know for this person, they would not want me upset. They would not want me upset at all. My grandfather took ill, and it was discovered that they were. Let me rephrase that again. Grandfather was ill and hadn't been well, and my family, unfortunately, around that time had all. My mum, I remember her mother messaging me saying that my mother messaged me saying that they're diagnosed positive, and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? And then everyone else, my mum, my sisters, etc., were told they got COVID, and I'm like, what the hell? You know what? I'm like, they've been extremely careful, like extremely careful. Like, how can this happen? You know, but this disease does not pick and choose. Now, we both, my partner and I, we've known people, family and friends who have got this, who've had this, and fortunately have recovered. But for my grandfather, who was not well, ended up in hospital, was positive for COVID, and on the 7th of January of this year passed away. And the one of the hardest parts was not being I was able to have a chat with him at Christmas. At least I got to speak to him. But I think one of the hardest parts was not going home for the funeral. That was one of the hard parts. My partner, our friends have been brilliant, you know, with me and supporting me. And I'm dedicating this video to him. This video has been dedicated to him and to all victims of coronavirus around the world. I hope that every family has been affected by this. This is no one's invincible to this. No one is invincible, and every person needs to be careful. It's changed my perspective of things. If wear a mask, socially distance, um, go out when necessary. You know, when you have to, and now we're in the vaccine process. Hopefully, by the end of 2021, most of us will be vaccinated. As I'm touching the table, touch wood. I want everybody to be safe. And that's the same as my partner, myself. We want everyone in our family to be safe. We want everyone to be okay. We've had people suffer from, we both know people who have suffered from this, and it's not a nice feeling. It is really not a nice feeling. And my I have to also dedicate this also to not only to the victims and their families, but also to my partner for being the biggest support to me over the last year and a bit. He's my inspiration because he is one person who can get me to calm down when I'm getting stressed, and has been a brilliant person to be with. And as I always, he sort of has inspired my saying, and that is be happy, be healthy, and be safe. When I say people to be happy, try and be happy. Don't, this is a tough time. Let's laugh. Let's have a laugh, a giggle with friends, with family, whether it's on something like YouTube, Zoom, or something like that. Have a laugh. Even in a phone call, laugh. Be healthy. Try and keep yourself healthy, both in mind, physically as well. If you get a chance to exercise, go and exercise. Go for a walk. Clear your head and be safe. Follow the rules. Follow the guidelines. Now, following these guidelines is very simple. I know how stressful it is for people to be like, oh my God, I can't handle this anymore. It will be over. Someday this is going to be over. This will pass. But until then, take it step by step. If you're able to go out, and even for the time being, wear a mask when going out. I only take my mask off when I'm eating or drinking if I'm outside, that sort of thing. And make sure you tell all your loved ones that you love them, and your friends that you care about them, that you love them too, close friends, close family, because you don't know what the future's going to hold. You don't know what another day is going to bring. And then that leads hopefully now to a positive point. What is my life like now going forward? And what's my like? What's, well, not just my life, our life, but my partner and I's life going forward. We're working on, as I say, the private business, which is Starlight, and then which is Starlight, as I mentioned earlier. If anyone out there who is interested in learning English through online or through drama online, get in contact. Leave a comment. Leave a comment, and I'll get in touch with you. And anyone is welcome for Starlight. Anyone can learn English at any time, and that is something that I'm very passionate about. Also, as well, I've just completed my second Trinity course to be a Trinity Stars expert, which is literally doing drama in English, bringing me back to my roots where I was working in drama, and also I use drama a lot with my younger learners in class, especially with storytelling, with acting, and so on. It really is something that I am making good use of. And before I sign off on this video, I hope that from watching this video you enjoy it. And hopefully, I don't want anyone upset. I hope I haven't upset anybody. And I want everyone to be happy. That's what this channel is all about. It's all about promoting happiness, educating people, inspiring others. Ask comments, pass it on. Tell people about this channel because this is something that was really created based on based on a little idea that's why it's called Names Lively Jukebox. The jukebox is a bag of tricks, really. It's not just lip syncing, reviews, dancing, and all that there. Yes, I do that for fun. But I do teaching, I do a lot of other things, and also videos like this. And if you really have enjoyed this video, hit like, hit the subscribe button, pass it on to people. And I'm hoping now going forward, like going to the summer, things are hopefully now starting to gradually reopen. I don't know yet what's going to happen. Both my partner and I have to play it by ear. We don't know what's going to occur. And I hope to hopefully be examining. And if I am examining, anyone who is watching it, who knows, I might be coming to a school near you. All right. So to get to meet many different students to help with the examining, and also get to hopefully, as I say, spread our wings and fly, that sort of thing. But as I said before, this will end. This will come to an end at some point. But until then, as I said before, wash your hands. Let's say, wash your hands, socially distance, and wear a mask. Okay, so and I would like to say to everyone around the globe, take care of yourselves, be very happy, be safe. And until next time, this is Liam, over and out. See you soon. Bye.